Social media is still really new. It is, as they were saying, I mean, we're talking about a technology that really isn't much older than 10 years. I mean, there are things that we used to have in the 90s, but we're talking about widely accepted. It's very, very new. When the telephone first came out, nobody knew how to use the telephone. It was very awkward. They would pick it up, they didn't know what to say. When people would be talking, if they stopped, you'd just hang up because there was no etiquette for the telephone. Thomas Edison created, he's rumored to be the one that created our etiquette of answering when it rang and saying hello and hanging it up and saying goodbye. And it's so brilliant, and yet I think it's a great example of social media, why we need to be learning etiquette, because it isn't going anywhere. It's staying here forever. My name is Lana Varela, and my name is my brand. My job is representing clients and their businesses and branding them. That's what I do all day long. And fortunately for me, social media is what I'm on almost my entire workday for different clients. Everything I do and say supports and defines my brand. And this is especially true online. Whatever I'm doing online can either make me or break me. And I have seen far too many people completely destroy their reputation in a moment. And my goal today is to help you guys just know a few things that might you can take away from this and just keep in mind as you go about social media. There is one of the things that my business has expanded into is reputation management for college graduates, because they have had things posted when they were 17, 18, 19, 20, and now they want to be a kindergarten teacher. And when you Google their name, their maiden name, you can find all kinds of inappropriate things about them that are popping up at the top. And nobody wants a kindergarten teacher. I have kids. I don't want a kindergarten teacher who has inappropriate photos online. That seems inappropriate. You know, it's sad. And these are momentary mess-ups that they cannot fix. If somebody posts something about you on their blog or another website, it is very hard to get legal action to remove it, unless it falls under some of the things Officer Mike was talking about. So you have to keep that in mind. I know some hopeful adoptive parents that talk too much on Twitter about the adoption process and the birth mother didn't choose them. And I know a coworker of mine was fired immediately after calling in sick to their job and missing an important business dinner, and then being tagged in posts, photos, and status updates at a club. And his boss saw it, and then he lost his job. It's very, very serious. 1 in 10 of you job applicants out there, anybody who's a job seeker, you're not gonna get a job because of something that's on your social media. They won't even call you. So tonight I wanna dive into 3 areas that will help us put our best foot forward on social media. Some best practices that I teach all my clients, and some of my social media gaffes or faux pas. And then I want to talk about the positive things because those are my favorite. So the number one best practice that I can give you, you're going to hear me say it a lot, is branding yourself well. That means be consistent and authentic across all your channels. Don't have misinformation. Don't post that you do one thing on one channel and one thing on another. Have different names. Don't. If you're going to go by a nickname, go by it consistently. This is very important for job seekers, again, but even people in business, when people want to verify identity, so they go online and they look for you, and if your name is Christopher, yet you go by Chris, they're not going to be able to find you, and if you're a job seeker, they toss you. They won't call you if they can't verify you online. It's very, very rare. Even if you're the most qualified applicant, if you don't exist online, it's very rare for them to give you calls in most industries. If you be consistent with what you post and that it reflects your brand well. If on your Twitter profile you put a Bible verse and you talk about the nonprofits that you are part of and how much you love the Lord, and then you're posting vulgar, foul content on your Twitter feed, that doesn't support your brand, that destroys your reputation. And businesses will see that, or friends or coworkers or family members, and it just gives them probably an image I would hope none of you would want people to have on yourself. I see a lot of, with Jeff's students, I did a lot of research of his students. I Googled them all. And one of the things I noticed consistently is they all were saying how they're always waiting till the last minute to do their papers, or that they show up late to class to get a Starbucks. And an employer's gonna see that and go, I don't wanna hire that person. Why would you want somebody who's gonna show up late because they had to get their Starbucks fix in? And these are things that are detrimental. There's a 30-70 rule we follow across the board with all our clients. 30% of what you share can be about you. 70% needs to be relatable content that's not you talking about yourself. The big one is be intentional with what you post. There's some psychological needs social media fills for us, things like acceptance, inclusion, approval, and appreciation. So before you post, ask yourself, am I looking for one of these needs, and is this the best way to fill that need? Maybe you're trying to drive awareness for something, or maybe you want to even do something kind for somebody. Maybe you're making a complaint, which is what Twitter feeds are about these days. It's a great way to get attention if you don't want to sit on an 800 number for a big company. But just be tactful in the way that you file those complaints and consider it, and be conscientious of everything you're posting. Ask yourself, does this support my brand? Does this post accomplish? What is this post even accomplishing? What am I doing here? And this brings me to my next point. Take pause before you post. You are what you tweet. If you are posting something bad, this goes back to branding yourself well. I mean, be careful what you post. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Am I oversharing more than I should? And wherever you are, be all there. When you get on social media, take the time to focus and give it your full attention, because a lot of people try to multitask. We're all multitaskers, and it's almost 99% of the disasters you see on social media come from people that weren't just paying attention to what they were doing. They didn't take the time. You cannot respond to everything. So the ones that you do, at least give it your full attention so that you can be mindful of what you're saying. Be active and not reactive on your channels. This is very important. It's good. I think social media is great. I think everybody should be on it every day. I think that there's, we should cap it and be careful with our time, but I do think it's great. I think the alerts that the social media channels have are fabulous, and you should take advantage of them because it gives you a chance offline to decide if you can add value to that topic before you join in. So you don't just go in and randomly throw your 2 cents in when it may or may not be necessary. Don't get into arguments with anyone, ever, online. It's forever. Because this is my next point. Everything is public. It doesn't matter if the Facebook settings are locked down to friends. If your friend shares that on your page, if somebody cuts and pastes it, everything you put there is forever. And it doesn't matter if you delete it. Google has a record of it anyway, and anybody can go in and cache that and see an earlier version before you deleted. What you do online is forever. And that's not to scare you, it's just something to be mindful of. I think that social media is beautiful and wonderful, and we'll touch on this later, but it's just something to keep in mind, parents, when your kids are learning it. We don't really understand how huge it is and how impactful what you're doing and how it's gonna last forever. Bad company corrupts good behavior. Be careful who you associate with online and you're tagged to. When people make a status update and you're in it, if people make a photo and you're in it, if that's not somebody you want your coworkers or your boss or your friends at church to know, you need to be careful. Choose wisely who you keep company with in real life, but also online. Now we're going to go to social media gaffes, as we call them. These are, I love this picture. It's so perfect. It's a faceplant, Facebook faceplant. Here are some really popular gaffes, as we call them, that have occurred, and one not so popular. I'm sure everybody remembers Justine Sacco. It was in December. It was a big deal. She's a PR rep, and she won't be working in PR. She doesn't work in PR anymore because of this post. And then my NYPD, if you're not aware of that, it's a good thing to go research. This week they did a promotion to ask the public to post great photos of the NYPD in action, and it backfired because they posted photos of really bad stuff. And US Airways had a disaster recently, and this one is great. I think this is a good one, the Cisco one. This person just tweeted their thoughts. I got a job, and I'm excited, but I don't know, right? They said some bad things about it. And a Cisco employee saw it and said, don't worry, I'll let the hiring manager know. And the job offer was reneged. They lost it, just because they posted that. And it's just something they didn't think. These are the gaffes. I'm going to go through them super quick. Spelling and grammar. Again, take some time, focus, check your grammar. A letter out of a certain words can make it very offensive. So be careful what you post. There's a t-shirt company, and somebody posted very quickly and left the R out of the shirt. And it was very offensive, and it was a gaffe for them. They had publicity on it. No foul language. It's not necessary. Nobody wants to see it. Your parents, your grandparents, your kids are on there. Let's keep it clean. Too many hashtags. The rule is 2 for each platform. Instagram is its own beast, but even on Instagram, we never cross the number of 6. And that's only for very select clients. The happy spot that we want is 2, no more than 2. So be careful. Nobody wants to read it. It's too confusing. Officer Mike talked about cyberbullying, but I feel super passionate, and I thought this was a good photo that really sheds some light onto all the things that encompass cyberbullying. Keep your eye out for your child being bullied, and teach your kids to keep their eyes out for their friends and other people that might be bullied, because it's really rampant right now, and it's really an issue. This is my favorite hashtag, and this is more of a personal gaffe that I think everybody should follow. When you are in the moment and having dinner with your family, you don't need to invite the world into that. Take some focus on your family and be all there, and try to not ruin the intimacy of the moments you're experiencing, and utilize something like a latergram to say, hey, this is what I did earlier, and then share it then, because it does detract from the face-to-face time you're having in your life. Experience now and share later. That's what we tell all of our clients. A picture says 1,000 words. Let's be careful what you put up. I know Officer Mike touched on a bunch of it, but ladies, I'm seeing far too many of you, and I'm helping far too many of you pick up the pieces from sending inappropriate photos. Don't do it. I don't know what, it makes me sick to my stomach, some of the things, the messes that young girls are getting into. Be careful what you post on Twitter, what you're posting on Instagram and Snapchat. They are not private. They can be public. You need to be careful. Okay, now we go to my favorite parts, the positives of social media, because I think social media is amazing, and it's really done some wonderful things for our generation. My favorite thing about social media is the random acts of kindness. I follow somebody on Twitter, and every week he comes on there and he asks his large amount of followers if there's a need or something he can do to help them with that week. And it's such a great way to put a peripheral relationship on Twitter and get to know somebody in a different way. And as I understand, he does everything in his power to make that need get met that week. And I think that's it's my favorite story. I love watching it every week unfold. Take some time to encourage somebody who needs to be uplifted, wishing them happy birthday, congratulating them on a new baby. These are great ways social media is used, and it should be done. Another tool that I love is LinkedIn. They give you this opportunity to recommend somebody. I think that's phenomenal. I think we should all take the time, and if we notice a coworker or a boss doing something great, take a few minutes and write a LinkedIn recommendation for them. I think it's such a powerful way to affirm somebody publicly, and it's lasting. Okay. Photos and videos, we have learned, we are recording and photographing our life in a way we've never done before. And that is my favorite part. I think that's awesome. And our kids will have, I know my kids have great videos. I have so many videos and pictures of my children, and I think that's one of the positives of social media. Never underestimate the way that posting a photo of your child to your friends and family might connect their heart. That's why we're on social media, because there's a heart grab there where it's a photo evokes an emotional response. A video does too. And when it's someone you love, it invokes an even deeper one. And I think that's the beauty of it, and I think we should continue sharing. With the safety, I believe we need lots of safety guidelines built in, but I do think that's the beauty of it, and I don't think you can underestimate that. And the other thing is the trending videos of really amazing things that have happened or random acts of kindness. We don't know how those are inspiring other acts of kindness. Those are inspiring others to do things, and I think that's beautiful. This is a picture from a video that's been trending of a widower who finds out that he is going to be a grandfather from his only child. And his reaction makes me cry every time. I probably watched it half a dozen times, and every time I see it, I get teary-eyed. And I think that's part of it. It is invoking an emotional response. So if you haven't seen it, you should go Google it. It's really good. This is a great one. Social media has made our world smaller. One of those ways was in the tornadoes in Oklahoma. People's things blew all over the city. Their wedding albums, their family heirlooms, photos of their kids as babies. And somebody made a Facebook group, and they were able to post what they found, and all these people got reunited with their things. I think the story is something like 2,000 heirloom family items were returned to the rightful owner. I think that is awesome. I think that is so cool that photos got returned and precious things that were destroyed were restored. The other thing that I like about it is, I don't have it on there, but I'm going to do it anyway. I have friends that have found long-lost family members. For whatever reason, you were separated from your sibling, and one of my good friends reunited with her sibling, and she was able to help in Europe. And her dad, and her sister were reunited after decades apart. And I think that is a beautiful thing that has occurred. The other thing about social media has been that it's allowed us to rally activism support and opportunities for giving for others. This was one that was very popular during the Super Bowl, and it totally took off on social media, and it was trending for days. And it's called the Not So Super Bowl. And it talked about how much sex trafficking increases when these large events like Stagecoach, I'm sure, and things like the Super Bowl or sporting events, it increases. And I think that's an awesome part of social media is tons of people were educated on what to look for, and were educated to sign the petitions. And I think that's amazing. You might recognize John Ramsey up there. Deanna spoke at our women's retreat. He's been struggling with a brain tumor, and social media has allowed people all around the world to contribute to help them pay for this expensive surgery he has to get that his insurance won't cover. And he has 4 young children, and look at how many, they've gotten lots of donations there to help pay for that. And we call this crowdfunding. You're asking a group, new businesses have done this, people with tragic circumstances, illness, death, things like that. And this is another way we get to help people outside of our normal circles. And finally, employment opportunities are huge. Social media has just thrown the doors open for that. This is my business partner. She is the first person on the West Coast to get a job at a PR agency by tweeting at them that I applied. And she tweeted at them once a week for a month, and somebody called her and said, I pulled out your resume. Imagine, this company gets thousands a month. And by tweeting at them, she got more calls back. And that's a way that she built her brand. She was able to make herself unique and different. And I think that's really brilliant that you could get a job just by tweeting at the company. I think that's awesome. The other thing has been LinkedIn. This is my LinkedIn profile, and I think it's really the most valuable tool you can have if you're a job seeker or a college graduate. Get as many people in your circles as you can. Connect with everybody. If I was applying for a job at APU and I looked at their website, I can see that I have 10 first-degree connections there, but over 200 second-degree. So there's a very high chance that I'm connected to the hiring manager. And I would go look at it, and let's say it's my next-door neighbor's sister is the hiring manager. You can bet I would go to my next-door neighbor, and I would be like, can you connect me on LinkedIn with her? And I would say, hey, I applied. Can you give me a job? Can you interview me? Let me take a look at my resume. People are getting more interviews, more face-to-face time by doing this small tip. You would be surprised how you know people at companies and how many second-degree connections you actually have to a lot of people. And it'll tell you when you click there who you're connected through. And it's just a really amazing tip. I think every job seeker and every college graduate should be using that. I think it's really valuable. So I was really quick, but I hope you guys have questions and you can send some in. But in closing, I want to just remind you, be mindful of how you use social media to brand yourself and your business. Be mindful of the permanence of your contribution to this social media world. Your words can be impactful or destructive. So choose wisely. Thank you all.